and welcome to Better You in 52. And if it's a return trip, it's a welcome back. If it's your first time here with our videos, thank you so much for taking the time, the whole 20 seconds so far. Stick around. It's going to be a great ride, I promise you. BetterYou52.com is the main website where we house the program. And Better You 52 is a program, an absolutely free program that allows us, me and some people, like minded folks who are just looking to try to get a little bit better, to support each other in the getting better process. And we believe the moment you say, I want to improve myself at whatever, you have hit that threshold of a better person, better at something. At least, knowing is half the battle, if you will. And then we here at Better You 52 provide every single week a new video, new lessons that give you something to help you move towards that level of betterness, up level that, if you will. And it's not something that's a week long style of program where week one you do this and week two you do this. You decide what it is you want to improve on. We provide for you support. We provide for you some tools, and every week we provide for you a video here to just allow you to add a little something to your arsenal of work things going forward. So stop by our website, Better Union 52, for the full details of there, and we'll show a little bit of the website towards the end of this video. Today's lesson was foretold a few lessons ago, foreshadowed in a previous lesson about getting a mentor. And getting a mentor is something we normally talk about early if we're working on the more or less tiered level of a program on how to get better, what you're doing to improve yourself for both personal levels and for professional levels. If as a professional, if one of the early things you need to do is find a mentor, whether real or virtual. And we'll explain that in a second. Someone to emulate, someone to ape off and basically copy, if you will, until you can figure out what you need to do going forward, and someone who is there to help you guide along the way and help you maneuver some things and actually block and tackle in some cases to get you through some harder times. You can learn from their lessons to not have to learn the whole lessons, if you will. But getting a mentor is something that's going to be a little bit difficult. We'll get into that in a bit as well. But it's extremely important to have some sort of roadmap and a person to make guide you through the process. Mentorship is something that I've had hard issues basically finding along my life. A lot of it because of expectations. A lot of it because finding the right mentor is finding a right relationship. And so let's go ahead and get into the mentor type work we have here for this one. This is a longer lesson. We got 5 different points to go through, and we're going through it from more or less the backwards angle of mentorship than I'm normally teaching. So if you bear with me, the final point is still used the final point, but basically points going from the other direction from 4, 3, 2 to 1 are essentially out of order. So let's start with what's in here. Point number 1. And that is, this can be a virtual relationship for your mentorship. Now, a mentorship is a relationship. Number one, it is a grouping between you and a something that allows you to gather knowledge from that relationship. Now, a virtual relationship is basically saying you don't have to actually know or be involved, engaged with the actual person. This is essentially what you get from reading books, from watching YouTube videos, taking on a virtual mentor, a your own personal guide, if you will, that you select to. Like a lot of people that you'll see in the realm of self help that aren't quite top tier, that will drop lines like my friend, blah, 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 my friend Brene Brown, my friend Tony Robbins, my friend Marie Folio. There's a lot of people who are friends with each other who don't have an actual relationship going forth. In some level, what makes this things a little bit on the scammy issue is a lot of them do have relationships that sort of are entwined with each other. So they bring each other up when they have a book coming out. But in most cases, it doesn't matter. In most cases, it's just a lot of people admire what other people do. And when you admire what someone else does, you tend to take a look at it, go through what's going on, and can just kind of take the little bits, pieces of advice from them, even if they're not a real person, a real live relationship. In fact, a lot of I have something in the works as I'm recording this that will be putting down fairly soon in the real world of my other personal development stuff. That essentially most of your personal development uh, issues, most of personal development tips and tricks are recycled from other folks in different ways with different ways of speaking. And like I said, for this mission here, in different orders, different ways. So you're basically hearing the same general pieces, the same good advice from different people in different situations, from different backgrounds. And those different people may resonate better than someone else. So you can have a virtual relationship with anyone you want to and get that mentorship that you may need. This comes from books. This comes from videos. This comes from courses. This comes from those types of movies and things like that. This can be your virtual mentorship with Yoda, since everyone likes to quote Yoda all the time. That can be essentially your virtual relationship, but you've got to maintain something that's actually a level of, we'll say, professionalism. If you're listening to tapes by Tony Robbins. I literally mean tapes, like tapes from back in the 80s and 90s. You've got to remember that the time that these things went live, the time these things have been recorded, time has passed. So make sure that your relationship with this person, whether via audio, via video, via book, via internet, text, is relevant for your time right now and was actually relevant for its time. One of your easiest to find mentors in the virtual relationship world will be Napoleon Hill, of course, the writer of Think and Grow Rich, which may be the most important, it's probably the most important self-help book written out there, and maybe the most published, most read, shy of the Bible. The biggest problem with Napoleon Hill is he's been overly shown to be essentially a scammer, karma artist type of person, even if the fruits of his labor produce a lot of goodwill from that. Inadvertently and inadvertently, one, he made a lot of money off that, and two, people have used that as a source for their virtual relationship as a mentor, even if some of the advice in there is a little bit sketchy, to be honest. So you can have a virtual relationship, but be wary of whom you're having it with. Just like a real crazy person, your virtual crazy person could be someone else. In the book world, in the video world, that cannot be as stable. Yes, there are plenty of people out there who are claiming to be um, people with knowledge. Sometimes those people with knowledge don't have your best interests uh, at hand. So let's leave it at that. Now, of course, what you're looking for is a real person to make it a real mentorship, but you have to think of it this way. Just like you have your virtual relationships, you can also have your real relationships with real mentors. Real people can show you around the ropes and show you around the campus and show you how things go on. This is a more ideal sense, but this is something that's going to take a little extra work, because a real relationship is a real relationship. Let me say that again, just like that. I did a whisper for emphasis. A real relationship is a real relationship, and it must be maintained as a relationship. It can't be a one person sucking the knowledge out of somebody else. There has to be some sort of mutuality, which I don't think is the actual word, to go forward. So if someone wants to be your mentor, or someone decides they will be your mentor, they've got to get something out of it. If they're pouring information into you, they got to know that information is going to a willing vessel who will take it, acknowledge what they're taking in, accept it as a way to go, and at least try some of it. It might not work. It might work perfectly. It might be total BS. But if someone's going to be your mentor and you're going to have this real relationship with them, you're going to have to engage with them in a real time, one on one, back and forth. And in many ways, you'll have to do pay some sort of way to engage yourself, endear yourself to them. It may not be straight up cash. It might be, wax on, wax off, doing chores for them. It might be just general companionship. It might be you as a way to take in their information, is their way for immortality. They are teaching the way. Bobby Knight is very, very famous in the thought process of this, as all the people who coached under him and actually played under him became his disciples, literally, almost in a literal biblical sense. And they would do whatever they could to protect Bobby Knight and protect his ways and project his ways, his talents, his teaching styles beyond the next level. A lot of people who coached under Bobby Knight became coaches a lot like Bobby Knight. Of course, the times are different and there were a lot less chair throwing. A lot of people who coached under Bobby Knight become people who were not like Bobby Knight and did things specifically in a different way based on that relationship. They were still in a mentorship style of relationship at the time, even if once they broke away, that breakaway broke off. Now, as we said, this is a relationship, and real relationships with real people are really hard. Just like we talked recently about making friends or trying to make friends, this is not trying to find a mentor. This is finding a mentor. And we even gave you the cop out with the friends things by letting you make virtual friends as well. This is where you have to really be wary of the people you are dealing with, because these are real people who have other things they could be doing besides showing you the ropes for being, and you being either grateful to what they're giving or just not responding to what they're giving is a waste of their time. This is just like going out on actual dates with actual people, finding that soulmate. And then once that soulmate is found, maintaining that relationship so it doesn't get stale and just become essentially a roommate style type of situation. You're looking for a person you actually can grow with, and at some point maybe you won't grow with. That may happen, but someone you can grow with, continue with, and that as they give you more great information, you're able to process it in terms of greater things that not only shows your worth, but shows their worth as well, shows how great they are in the relationship as a mentor, in a way that may either engage them with more mentors. As you break away, they have more people to mentor. Maybe it's something like a college type deal, or professor who, while you're in school, you follow this person along and you stay in relationship going further. But as you graduate and move on to other things, there are no other young people ready to be mentored by this person. They may be a great analogy is for doctors. There's always an older, wiser doctor who's teaching younger doctors how to do the ropes and works as a great mentor. Some of them really, really, really find a connection, and they spend the rest of their lives talking back and forth, bouncing things back and forth with them. Some are short part-time relationships and part-time mentors that they get what they can and they move on, hopefully with good, sometimes not so good in the breakup. Now, let's talk about the breakup, because as I already said, keeping these things going on are going to be difficult because long-term mentorships are really, really hard. Keeping a real relationship with a person is hard. Making sure it maintains a long stretch is extremely difficult. Anyone who's had a long time best friend knows this. I can go back personally on my best friends list and start with my first, I'll call him real best friend, that I met when I was in the third grade, when I moved from New Jersey to Georgia. And then we moved away a year and a half from there. I had to find another best friend. Then when I moved away about a year and a half from that point, I moved and to find another best friend and a group of friends that I kept for a span of 3 years till I moved away again. And then I had to find another best friend. Then college came, and that best friend went to a different school than I did. So I found another best friend, so on and so forth. Now that I am much, much older than that, my best friend happens to be my soulmate, which happens to be my wife because of our relationship. But as far as other friends, we talked about in the friendship episode, it's hard to maintain friendships along a long span of time, especially as you get older, finding new friendships. It's hard to maintain long-term mentorships because, not that the interest will break away. A lot of it is mostly distance and time. You get away from a person and you don't have that proximity, and so you lose that. Now, there are some people that you have such a great relationship that you will come back to. In this case, I'm going to go to John Wooden, another great basketball coach, who people essentially have enshrined at his passing, and all the stories from his passing were essentially just a explosion of the same stories you heard very often while he was alive, while he was getting up in age, and sometimes while he was in his younger age, while people were studying from him. As you can call him, I mean, people call him the greatest basketball coach, college basketball coach of all time. So many people, not all so much in sports, but in life, in the motivational speaking world, because he did a lot of that stuff, in the business world, because a lot of the things that he portrayed to his players often went back to his players who did not all go play professional basketball into the business world, and they used that as a way as well. So those people with direct connections stayed as mentees to him for a long time, but he's a legendary figure, and he is a anomaly in the case. In many cases, you're going to find a mentorship early on in your career where your first boss is going to teach you the ropes, and then something happens and you go off someplace else and you lose track. And it's not like Facebook track where you have track of all sorts of people. You can't remember where you connected with them. This is a person that may have meant something that you can't get a hold to. Oftentimes, if that mentor is of extreme age or just by circumstances, they will pass. And therefore, they can't be there to be a live mentor to you, a real relationship anymore. They can still be a virtual relationship based on things they may have put out there, but those things are there. Maintaining long-term relationships are hard. Maintaining long-term mentorships are hard. And one thing that makes them even harder is at some point in time, the student will outgrow the teacher, if you will, and the student will have to break away and do things on their own. And in some cases, that really does fracture the mentorship. If that actual deep underlying love and friendship isn't there, when the student, the mentee, wants to go a certain way that's not exactly what the mentor wants, the mentor doesn't give them the blessing to try it, then that may be where to break that mentorship. Maybe it can be fixed, maybe it can't. It's one of those things because it is a relationships, a relationship. Relationship dynamics change over time, and you have to be conscious of the change so you can maintain the levels of contact, and conscious of the change because you may see where this certain level of relationship may not be working well for both of you, so you can part on different ways, and you can still say this was my mentor for this period of time, and they can say I was a mentor to this person for a period of time, and you can both save face for the breakaway. Now, this fifth point is always, no matter how we present this, I basically presented this a little out of order with 1 through 4. Fifth point basically always comes here. And it is the fact that you have to be prepared to be a mentor yourself. And this is something you have to be prepared for no matter what level of proficiency you believe you are. You may think you understand what's going on and can teach it, or you may think, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And you still might be there as well. Prime example of this happened for me in college, where I was having issues passing calculus. In fact, my inability to pass calculus led me to fail out of my first major, which was electrical engineering, which I was extremely embarrassed by a professor when I could not make my way through the curriculum. It was embarrassing to fail this course twice in a row, and to have this professor dress me down in the way that he did, in a way that still, when I think about it, does not make me feel good. What happened? The next semester, as I changed my major and changed my focus, but decided I was going to tackle calculus. That was what I was going to do. I changed from regular calculus, which is going on a path for the engineers and the scientists and the people who are working on the real calculus, if you will, needing the actual skill to prepare themselves for upper level actual things to do that smart people dealt with. I took on the baby calculus class because I changed from engineering to business, and instead of just taking a minor math class, which I had to take accounting at that point as well, which I did later, I was gonna ace this baby calculus class, the calculus for business, which I've used absolutely none of it in my business world after I passed through it. It was just something there as advanced level for those people who are doing majors that had engineering attached to their business. And how I passed it, because it was still calculus and still hard, was basically I mentored another student. There was another student in a group that I was in that basically did the exact same thing. He was in engineering. He could not pass his calculus. He basically pulled the chute and jumped out before they kicked him out of engineering. And he somehow ended up in this baby calculus class because the way the hours lined up or something. So we were in the same class. I was a sophomore. He was a freshman, and he looked up to me for some reason, even though he was a good foot taller than I was. And we worked through this together. We did homework together. We did projects together. We studied for tests together. We went point by point, and I had to be his mentor to get him through this thing that I did not know, and it worked. We both passed baby calculus. I got a B out of it. He got a C plus something out of it, and went on to continue to do whatever. At some point past that time, he transferred to another school, and we lost contact on that end. But it was a moment where I was not prepared to do anything but be angry because this other professor dressed me down as I failed this class, and I had to step up and do this. So while you're on your journey to finding the right mentor to get you to that right place, remember what I always say, and what's also overly said in the world of this personal development type stuff is that you are the expert to the person who knows less than you are. To them, you might as well be the Einstein of the business because they don't know enough to reach your level. So whatever you tell them is advanced to them. So in your journey to finding a mentor, you need to be prepared to have a good idea of what you actually can command on your own and mentor other people in the process. The biggest part about this is you're going to find what you like to do in mentorship as a way to see what you like to get from a mentor, because what you'll find is the things that you are providing to other people are going to be essentially coming out of what you're looking for. You are building on a script to what it is you want to get. And so when you get a chance to interact with other people who have the ability to teach you more stuff, be advanced level to you, you know what a good mentor should provide, or at least what a good mentor for you should be providing you that keeps you comfortable. You'll know what isn't working if you're giving information and you're helping people out and they're not jiving with it. You can figure out whether the issue is the way you are teaching it, or the way the other person is accepting it, or the other person themselves just not being up to task to being mentored and being taught. Sometimes it's that way. When you start doing your mentoring from other people, you may find that your mentor is having a hard time delivering the messages to you, and that's something you can work out together. He may have a hard time delivering it because he's not very good at it, and that may be a reason to break off there. You may not be good at accepting his messages, and you may just not be very good. You may want a mentor. You may say you want someone to lead you through this way, but you may not be as committed as you thought you were for many reasons. It might be something that you're kind of phasing out of, or you might find it's harder than you want it to be, harder than you can deal with, or for some reason, just this situation right here and just that guy trying to help you out. I'd say guy just in a general sense is not working. So you need to back away from something and try something else. So be prepared to learn about mentoring yourself by being a mentor yourself. Let's go through the 5 points right now. In getting a mentor, your mentor can be a virtual relationship. So they don't have to be a real person. They can be your interaction with, or they don't have to be a real person you're actually interacting with, I would say. So Max Headroom, not necessarily a great mentor. He's just a character. But if you were to pick up a book from someone that was written by someone who is teaching something and what you want to do with, that's fine. If you want to read Think and Grow Rich and call Napoleon Hill a mentor, you can do that. That's there. Your virtual relationship can be any person that you can get their information from. Now with the internet and YouTube and videos and things like that, it's so easy to get old recordings and old videos and lots of knowledge and some new ones as well from various pieces. Just make sure that this mentor, just like if it was a real mentor, is aligning with your virtues and making sense with you and making sense for the times that you're working with, or at least can translate the times from the past to the times now. Norman Vincent Peale, who is a lot of people pull back for a actual mentor, Og Mandino, and also the person as well. I've read a lot of their stuff in my work going forward, since most of the stuff was written for people back in pre-70s, 50s, 60s in some cases. What they're writing at the time, obviously, well, oddly enough, there's a lot of things from then that are popping up in our reality now, but they're writing for the times based on technology, based on demographics. Those things weren't there. So you have to make sure you remember that they were writing for a different type of person at a different type of time. Even if things are similar, you have to make sure what's similar is good, what's not similar is not going to get in the way. You can decipher between the two. Okay. Also, remember, they can be real relationships with real people. So you have to find real people who are aligned with your values and who want to hang out with you and talk with you and want to teach you. It's one thing to have a person that exists that you have access to that is nearby. It's something totally different when you don't actually have the time or the actual connections to be in the presence of that person to be a real relationship. In that case, they're actually virtual. They're not real. If you're not actually speaking with them on the exact pieces, then they're virtual. And of course, real relationships with real people, not the virtual ones, are really hard to maintain because they are relationships. They may take time. If you make appointments and aren't not met, if at some point in time you'll stop making appointments. If they offer you insight and then you don't receive it properly, they may not want to deal with it. If you are looking for insight and they are really slow to give it to you, you might want to find another person to be mentored by. Those things are there. Real relationships are really hard in general. Real relationships in the mentor land, because of it is a sort of psionic back and forth, are hard to maintain. And to make it really harder, maintaining for a long term is going to be near impossible. You're going to get lucky if it turns something that's a lifelong mentorship relationship. You are. There are plenty of people around you that will pop in your life that will teach you things here and there and will be in that mentor role for right there. And in that case, mentorship is more a semantic thing. It's basically, you want to call it a term. It's to be a teacher, as a mentor, as whatever. But as far as a long-term, long-standing, you'll be writing the forwards to their autobiographies. Those things are really hard to come by. If it happens, congratulations. Chances are it won't. So just think about that. Don't have your feelings hurt if your mentorship does not last forever, and don't have your feelings hurt too bad if your mentorship ends on sour notes between you two. Try not to end it on a confrontational level, but if it's time for you to move on and do something else, and they don't agree with your direction, your vision, it ultimately comes down to you doing what you need to do, mentorship or not. And of course, finally, well, maybe the most important part of this thing is be prepared to be a mentor yourself, because while you're trying to find that perfect mentor, you may find exactly how mentorship works just by offering up your advice to other people who are on the lower level from you. So it could be teaching teenagers how to work on their resumes because they're getting into the workforce, while you yourself are trying to advance in the workforce, looking for an executive to show you how to move up the corporate ladder. Things like that are great for you because it allows you to give back, allows you to learn how to be a good mentor, and allows you to learn how good mentees should act. And maybe not good mentees, but you as a mentee will react to various things that are given to you. Because in most cases, the way you mentor is essentially the way you want to be mentored. You're defining what it is you like to do, and you're looking for someone who will give you that exact level of relationship as a mentor to you. So be prepared to mentor other folks while you're looking for that perfect mentee, while other teachers will be there to teach you some things. If you want to get the semantics of a real mentor to be there for you, be prepared to be a real mentor yourself for quite a while until the teacher will appear. They often say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That may or may not be something you want to live by. You probably don't. But as you prepare yourself for new things and looking for someone to help guide you to those things, you may have to spend a little time figuring out how to interact with that. And the best way to do that is to teach someone else. And that's the 5 points we have for the Get a Mentor lesson here. Hopefully, you enjoyed this lesson, and this gives you something to think about as you are looking for a mentor in whatever it is you're doing to get better. This is for week 17, so it took us this long to do the mentor thing. You may have popped into this on week 1 and wondered why we didn't share this early on. You may be popping in this thing in the future as the video is living on the YouTubes and wondering how you never heard this before. As I said earlier, a lot of the self-help and personal development things that are being put out there, a lot of them are essentially just rehashes of rehashes of rehashes, playing the same song with different verses and different sound lyrics and different people doing the song. Same great song, different sound, and you made like the reggae version better than the smooth jazz version, or the hip hop version better than the hard rock version. Something will resonate. Hopefully, this has resonated with you, and you are getting out of this on the mentoring issue, because mentoring is extremely important for people looking to grow. They're looking for someone to emulate. Is a great way to get to wherever that is. Essentially, putting your poster of Michael Jordan on the wall and saying, I want to be the greatest basketball player ever, is a good way to get started, assuming you have the talent, the time, the drive, and then you see how close you can get to Michael Jordan from there. This is what goes there. And what's even better, if you go to Michael Jordan's basketball camp and he shows up and shows you some pointers, that's even better. That's getting him as an actual real mentor, even though you're probably 12 and we'll never see him again, as opposed to watching his games, watching his film, and watching his actions and having him as a virtual mentor. That's how things work out. I'm not sure how Jordan popped in there, but when I think of greatness, that's the guy I think of, even though he was a person that's famous for not trying to mentor other people, if you will. So we're going to take a quick look at our website, which is betteryouin52.com. And at the website, you will see right here, we're going to go back through a couple of weeks, but we have some pretty simple pieces. A button that says Better You in 52, that takes you right back to the front. It's basically a blog that has each week's video. Resources that you can use to better yourself, then kind of get yourself on focus, and about the program. Some recent posts we have, including documenting your setbacks. We talk about journaling. I talk about journaling a lot, and it took us a while to get to journaling in this program for this year as well. But this is a special point to not just journaling itself, but just for your progress in doing things. Learn to document how things went wrong so that you have a better idea of what to do right in the future. Being coachable, which goes along with the mentoring. In fact, this one foreshadowed the actual mentoring lesson about being able to have the ability to listen to someone tell you what you need to do to fix stuff and not get upset when it's not what you want to do. And you find out that it is the exact thing you need to do. Being coachable is extremely important for being better because it allows other people to add to you. Try and make new friends. I brought that up a while ago in the middle of this lesson. We made it try and make new friends because this underlying statement throughout this video and this lesson is the fact that making new friends as an older person, basically anybody outside the college realm where you're just not hanging out with people in general, is hard to do. It is a relationship, if you will. Not if you will. It is a relationship that must be maintained in a special way, and try and make new friends, although extremely important to do, is extremely hard to do at an older set. And one more to go back to: figure out your philosophy. If you're a person and you've been sort of floundering around in life, it may be because you've not actually have a focus on what it is you are all about. So now is the time to figure out your philosophy. Granted, some people go through their whole lives and never figure out exactly who they are, and they are just fine. You, however, and may not necessarily know you personally, you're watching this video, you're looking for advice for getting better, for doing better, for upgrading your life, upgrading your personal, professional life, whatever. For you, the upgrade needs a direction, you need a point, you know what you're upgrading to. Now may be the time to figure out what it is you believe, what it is you don't believe, and what it is you want to stay away from. So this video will basically tell you now maybe the time, give you a few things to help you maybe figure out what your real philosophy is. Maybe it won't. That's something that's going to be a lot of work you'll have to do for yourself. All that found at betteryouin52.com, along with these videos. Every single week we drop the new video there. Link goes live every Monday, but we put it live on the internets over the weekend so that it can get a little love before people get there on Monday. There you go, just like that. If you looking for more resources, we are looking for ways to do more forum type things, more joining type things, so that we can have just group chats back and forth about being better with other people. So there you go. We're trying to do things that are extremely free, super free, overtly free. And so that's one of the things to do that. And also engaging and then turn into people kind of coming in and turning into one of the internet cesspool type deals. And I'm not a fan of message boards, but message boards essentially are the only best option for this, or Facebook groups. We will see what it will be because we will launch something fairly soon as a test to keep things going. So hopefully when we roll this thing in for 2023, we will have an established home to come in to gather and just kind of chat back and forth. Hadn't quite worked it out yet, but we're still working on it. And that's what's important. As long as we haven't stopped working on it, that means we haven't given up on it at all. And we do not give up on each and any one of you. If you just want to reach out to us, reply to a comment on the website blog postings, reply to and comment inside of the video, email me directly at jclevelandpayne@gmail.com, and we can chat. We can chat it up as much as possible. One of the few things that I always offer up people is a chance for a conversation. And if you're local, which may be a harder thing to do, a chance for a coffee. Now that everyone's on the Zoom stuff and the virtual meeting stuff, local means something different. So we can chat it up on a video call sometime and just kind of go with things. You can give me feedback on what I'm doing good, what I'm not doing not so good, and we can just kind of shoot the breeze, get to know each other, things like that. In the meantime, thank you so much once again for being a part of Better You in 52 and betteryouin52.com. As we said, you decided you wanted to be better at something, and by golly, you are better. We just want to help you maintain that betterness going forward. I always end my things by saying stay hydrated, stay on task, stay limber. We need you to be here for the long haul, or whatever great thing it is you were put here to do. You may not even understand how great it is. It needs to be there, but we need you to run your race to the very end and not try to find any premature ends because of any issues. Another reason, if you're not feeling it, you should reach out and just chat. So, as we say, keep on going. We need you here, and we need you to be here for next week. We need you to be here for next week. Another great video. We'd say that as well. We try to put those words out there into the universe. Another great video on the way for another great lesson to help you get better in your 52. Now, I didn't say this earlier, and so let me not be amiss. Better You in 52 is basically a brand, and the brand is basically stating that you want to look at yourself on day one, week one, whenever you want to call that, whenever you start that. We started for this traditionally at beginning of the year, because 52 weeks, and then at week 52, and you compare the two people, compare you to you, see how you have progressed. And along the way, we're offering up these little tips and other resources to help you get better and better. 17 weeks down and 35 more weeks to go. The over under is about 27 or so of getting things in there. So we're 10 short of that. We want to see how far we can get with this thing in this instance, and we intend to get to 52 weeks. So keep on coming, and we have even more reasons to keep on doing this. Thank you so much. We're going to see you again next week.